After realizing that what we thought was a simple case of a leaking stuffing box was actually a much bigger issue, we hauled out Oiysh in August of 2019. We then left her for 2 months on the hard and went to earn some money for the refit. Upon our return, we jumped right into it. We needed to remove the engine as we realized that we had not only a cracked stern tube but also water was coming in from around the keel bolts. To assess the damage better, we needed full overview and well, the engine was in our way. Thus, quest number 1, remove our diesel engine. First on the list was disconnecting all the cables and hoses that were connected to the beast. And so we started to remove each of them one by one, carefully labeling what is what and where it goes so it would be easier for us to put everything back together when all of the repairs were done. Little did we know, as in fact Volvo would never return on board. But let's not get ahead of the story. Oiysh is a 40-foot Bruce Farr designed retired racing boat, and although the distance of roughly 3 to 4 meters from where the engine was mounted to the companionway might not seem like a lot, perspective changes while you're trying to move a 350 kilogram engine. Moving the beast inside the boat that is on the hard, standing on its keel, supported on the stands over 2 meters above the ground, then trying to maneuver it out through the companionway and finally lifting it up from the cockpit seemed like a lot of unnecessary, painful, and potentially dangerous work, and we decided against it. Instead, we chose to lift it directly from where it was. The only thing in our way was obviously the deck. With a little bit of grinding, which was more of a preparation for the future reintegration than a necessity, some drilling and jigsaw action, the obstacle was no more. And just like that, everything was ready for the engine to vacate the premises. When the forklift arrived and got positioned in place, the engine was attached to a chain block which would do the lifting. That way we would have more control over what was happening. Perhaps Volvo sensed what its fate was, and it decided to put up a bit of a fight, but with a little bit of wiggling, some persuasion, some more wiggling, and yet a little bit more wiggling. It finally gave up, and within less than 15 minutes it was airborne, completely detached from the boat. Before lifting it through the roof, we added one extra thick Daima rope just to make sure that it won't come crashing back down. Fun fact, till the last moment before the forklift arrived, we were not sure if it will be able to perform the extraction. All because Oiysh's draft is 2 meters 45 centimeters, and the operator, the magnificent Senor Victor, wasn't sure if the forks would go high enough for the operation to be possible. Fortunately for us, it did work out at the end, but we did have to lower the lifelines because the forklift was at its maximum extension. I won't lie, the moment Volvo cleared our lifelines, I started breathing much more easily, as if it would decide to fall at this point, it wouldn't harm anyone, nor it would destroy Oiysh in the process. All that was left now was to move the old rusty pal to his temporary storage place. He was carefully rested on some wooden blocks safe from the elements. With the engine out and secure, we could proceed to close up our new sunroof.
Che scibber dai, no. New style economico. Tetterette.
As it was meant to be a temporary fix, in our usual savage style, Bartek simply screwed a couple of blocks to support the piece in place, and then we slapped some masking tape from the bottom. At this point, we were still thinking that Volvo will come back on board, but as the refit was taking place during the rainiest part of the rainy season, we decided to reseal the cutout part with epoxy, so both the inside of the boat and the core of our deck would be nice and dry. With the roof back in place, we could shift our focus to the nasty, grimy diesel mess that for years accumulated under the engine. Any thoughts we still had that it would be more reasonable and economically viable if we were to put the diesel back in were slowly starting to vanish at this point. Let's say they were slowly suffocated by the smell of old engine oil and grime. If you never had to clean a mess like this, you might think that's a bit overly dramatic. And perhaps it is, but for us, with every hour spent cleaning that yuckiness, we were finding more and more reasons why we didn't want to deal with a diesel engine ever again. Yes, we already had this engine, and it was working. It didn't need any major repairs for now, just a bit of maintenance and maybe a fresh coat of paint. during countless hours spent on scrubbing and washing, we came to the following main conclusions. A diesel is dirty, smelly, expensive in the long run, super loud, and this particular one very heavy. We almost didn't use it anyway, especially since the gearbox control cable broke a couple of months earlier. We decided we own a sailboat, and even if we cannot afford to go electric straight away, we can go engineless for a time. And finally, that Oiysh used to be a racing sailboat after all, and didn't deserve all that unnecessary weight. And so the decision was made, and we continued on cleaning, but almost enjoying the chore, because we now knew it would be for the last time. Well, almost. Later on, we kept on finding places that were contaminated, but definitely no new diesel grime would be generated ever again. After the initial cleanup, we could finally start to assess the damage, and let's just say that what we found was not good. There were cracks and de-lamination all over the place. The more we looked and poked and drilled around, the more it looked like someone had hit the ground hard in the past and did less than ideal job of the repairs, or in some places, not at all. For those of you who might wonder, slapping some silicone schmoo on the leak from the inside is not considered a repair in our book. The wood inside Oiysh's stringers in the good spots was just wet with oil, in the bad parts completely delaminated from the floor and cracked. If we had any hope before that this refit might go without dropping the keel fully, that hope is now gone. But hey, we knew this would be an adventure.
Poczekaj, jeszcze nie gotowy. O. Dobra. Tak, jest na pewno dobrze. Dobra, ja go nie będę ciągnął, dopóki mi nie każesz.
Gotowy?
Gotowy!
Siap, siup.
Siup, poszło.
Poczekaj, pompeczka.
A. Woda odkręcona.
Tak, czuję powietrze. Czuję powietrze też.
Aha. On był dawno nieodpalany, tak?
Nie no, przedwczoraj, nie?
Aha. A bez skrzyni biegów, tylko do ładowania. Wow! Zobacz, woda leci! Zobacz, woda leci. Pięknie! 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 Leci woda. Wow, pięknie chodzi.